Next up is Steve Vigil. Where are you? Let's give Steve Vigil a round of applause.
"30 years ago, I was faced with a life or death decision." Looks like I made the right decision, doesn't it? I was stationed on the Coast Guard cutter Ute out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, and we just made another drug bust. We seized a vessel out there at sea. And over the loudspeaker, we heard, "Bales of Vigil, report to the bridge." And I was thinking to myself, uh-oh, what'd I do this time? So I walk up to the bridge. "Bales of Vigil, reported his orders, sir." And he said, "Vigil, I want you to take command of the prize boat. I want you to assemble a crew of 8 members, sail the vessel back to Key West, and turn it over to the DEA." He said, "As a captain of a boat, you have certain decisions that you have to make. So I'm going to share with you my decision process." He says, "What I do when I'm faced with a big decision," he says, I take a deep breath, and then I make my best decision." He said, "You got that?" I said, "Yes, sir." So I assemble my crew. I go out to the prize boat. This is the vessel. It had 1,500 bales, 80-pound bales of marijuana, Colombian gold marijuana. Does anybody know how much 80-pound bale is? Let me show you a photo of an 80-pound bale. That's me carrying some 80-pound bales of marijuana. I'll show you some pictures later on. Now, when you're exposed to that much marijuana, okay, I guess you can say there's the THC in the air. Okay? And after a while, you get a little nauseated, right? And, well, you get high, okay? And when I was looking back at some of these photos, here's me and my crew in the cargo hold, and I said, my gosh, we were looking really happy in there. You know, had all these bales of marijuana all over us, and I never noticed this, but this guy has a bale that's opened. So it was a few hours away to get to Key West, and I remember steering the ship. I was on the helm, and it was a beautiful day outside. There's hardly any waves out at sea. The seas were glassy. And I remember looking from the left to the right. And I glanced from the left to the right, and it took a few seconds for everything to catch up. And I thought to myself, we're way up here in the bridge. We can't get it up here. Can it be? And all of a sudden, that's when it happened. Everything started changing right there at that moment. When I was just looking off to the side, boom, out of nowhere, from behind, this huge, I think I heard this story a while ago, this huge spider out of nowhere just grabbed a hold of me from behind, and it just wrapped its big hairy arms around me. And it grabbed a hold of me, and it was just wrapping itself around me. It came up between my legs, and I was freaking out. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I grabbed a hold of my .45 out of my holster right here. I grabbed it out, and I got the gun. I cocked it back. And I grabbed the .45, and I turned it, and I aimed it to my head. And just right before I was about to pull the trigger, I thought to myself, I wonder if this is one of those decision times my captain was trying to tell me about way back then. So, and right about then, I heard all the guys yelling, no, no! And I heard all this noise in the background. And I'm thinking, oh my, what's going on? And I let go. And I turned back around, I looked back, and it was just a huge monkey. A huge monkey. I had a monkey on my back. And to boot, he was stoned out of his mind. This guy was in the cargo hold of the ship, and he was eating the marijuana. He was high as a kite. And we weren't so happy ourselves. We were freaking out. This guy was screaming. He was slapping us. We didn't know what to do. We opened the door and guys shushed him out of there, and he was up. One guy kind of gave him a little boot out the door, and he was upset. He came up on the window right in front of me. I was on the helmet. He came right in front of me, and he started slapping the glass. Tap, 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 freaking me out. We were scared. We didn't know what to do. I was going to shoot the glass at one point. Oh, my gosh. So he kind of disappeared after a little while. And every once in a while, he'd make a surprise appearance and flash himself up on the glass again, freak us all out again. A couple hours went by. And one of the guys said, hey, there he is. He's on the back of the boat. He's on the back. So we thought, okay, guys, this is our chance. This is our chance to get rid of him. So we creeped up. We snuck up behind him. He was just on the back of the boat, just hanging on the rail. With the seas, just going with the seas. So we creeped up behind him, and then we snuck up, and I reached up, and I snuck up, and I pushed him over the back of the boat. And I remember this so clearly. It was like in slow motion. He was out in the back of the boat, and he goes, wah! Flying out to sea. And then that big tail, he had a huge tail. That big tail reached over, wham! Grabbed a hold of the handrail, and he went into the back of the boat. Boom! We heard this big boat. And then we were just sitting there looking at this scene, and all of a sudden he started crawling back up. I remember the eyebrow. I'll never forget these eyes. They were red, they were bloodshot, and they were staring at me. The eyebrows were down. So I told the guys, the only decision I can make at that moment is run! We took off back and we locked ourselves back in, and there he comes, and he was terrorizing the glass again. Good thing he disappeared for a while, because we were getting close to Key West now, and we were pulling in Key West. And gosh, we were hungry. My God. We were thinking about going back and eating some ourselves. Good thing we didn't. Well, when I pulled the vessel right up in the front, everybody was DEA was waiting for us, and we finally got out. And the monkey out of nowhere once he got out, right? He came flying out, and he ran on top over a fence. He flew over the fence, and he started running down into traffic. And the last thing I remember is he jumped on top of a car with a Domino's pizza sign on top. And he grabbed a hold of it, and I remember he went flying around, and it looked like he threw me a wave. Now, the guys told me he threw me the finger, you know. I thought he threw me a wave. Yeah, we think about this guy sometimes, and I always wonder what happened to that monkey, you know. But down in the northern part of Key West, there is a club called Captain Joe's and the Stoned Monkey. And I swear to God, that guy looks just like him. Now, that was a long time ago, 30 years ago, and I sell real estate now. And just a couple of days ago, the memory started coming back to me, because one of my clients, we just closed on a house, and she called up, she says, hey, listen, the water heater's not working right. It's really, it's not hot enough. What do? I don't want to call a plumber for that. She says, what I did is I opened up the water heater, and I was digging in there with a screwdriver. There was some insulation. I got it all out. And she says, what do I do? And I'm thinking, well, I paused for a second, and I says, well, the first thing, let's go ahead and just go turn the breaker off real quick. And then I'll help you, make the adjustment, okay? And during that pause, I remember the captain's voice coming back at me. He said, when you're faced with a decision, he says, think. He said, take a deep breath and make your best decision. And I told her to turn that breaker off. And he said, because you never know when that decision is the one that's going to affect your life or somebody else's life. Chris.